Jodi, and Bauer's around here somewhere. So I wanted to take a moment. First of all, I'm sorry that I missed last week's newsletter. I had a little bit of technical difficulties. So I'm actually kind of glad it happened though, because the video I had submitted, I wasn't really pleased with it. So this is giving me the opportunity to redo it. So it's the same subject. I want to talk about novelty and why it's important to your dogs. Now, a lot of times we're told that it's really important to have structure and for your dog to be able to predict what's happening during their day. And that is true to a point. It's really good with Bauer because he can be reactive. So, you know, if he knows what's happening throughout his day, it's easier for him to stay calm and know the next step. But the problem with that is it's not sustainable. You can't always do the same thing day in and day out. It's not good for them to get into this structured role and then suddenly something new happens, like you walk the same walk every day and suddenly there's a car parked on the side of the road. He hates that. So you run into the possibility of a reaction. So it's better for your dog to have some novelty in their life. So structure is a great management tool, but in the end you want them to have a full round life where they can do things calmly, see new things and be calm about it. You don't want them to be so rigorous in their day that any change sets them off. So there are three reactions to novelty. Novelty is, for our definition, for our purposes, novelty is the introduction of something that is new to the environment that the dogs are not familiar with. And there's usually three reactions to that. That could be, I'm going to go back. I'm going to say that could be a lot of things. It can be, like I said, it can be a car where it's not usually a car. It can be someone coming over the house. It can be you're on a walk and there's a paper bag floating around. You know, anything can be novel. So the more interactions they have with new things, the less scary they are and the less exciting they are. And the reason I'm saying that is because there are three basic reactions to novelty. It's a big, broad subject, but I'm only going to talk about the three main ones because we don't have that much time. So your three basic reactions are Bauer, which is aggression, fear. So if he sees something new, if we're on a walk in the woods and he sees a person he wasn't expecting to be there, he is going to bark and lunge and, you know, try and go after that person because he's afraid of that person. Because they're not supposed to be there according to his structured life. Or what he thinks is a structured life. I try to introduce novelty as much as I can. Or if we're walking down the street and even in our neighborhood, which is usually pretty good in the neighborhood, but say we're in the neighborhood and someone stops their car in front of us, gets out of the car and goes in the house. We're going to walk up to that car. There's no person left in it. We're going to walk up to the car. He's going to want to turn around and go home. He just doesn't like the fact that that happened in front of him. I don't know why. I can't guess. It's just that he doesn't like the broad idea of something novel happening. So that's what we're trying to teach them, is that novel things aren't scary. On the other hand, we also want to teach them that novel things aren't overly exciting. You don't want your dog to be so enthused about some novel item that they run at it. It could be a porcupine. You don't want your dog running at a porcupine. That's not going to end well. It could be a child and they're going to scare that child. Or it could be that they run so fast towards a tree that they miss the hole and they trip and hurt their leg. So you want them to approach things the third way, which is to have no reaction or like a mild curiosity. So if you can walk with your dog and you walk past a horse and they've never seen a horse and they look at the horse and they look at you and they keep going, that is the perfect reaction to novelty. Or it can be, you're walking up to that horse because you want your dog to be okay around horses, but you don't want them to be pulling and everything. So you then give them an okay word. So yes, this is a horse. You want to go greet that horse. Smell it, see what it's all about, type of thing. And I would do that with a professional. I'm not saying that that's how you should introduce a dog to a horse. I'm just saying, in general, introducing them to novel things, you want them to be calm about it. So, some of the things you can do easily for novelty with your dog is when you're training them. So, you want to introduce them to novelty in a safe environment as possible because you don't want them to be too scared and you don't want them to be going crazy at the park because of something novel. So, your best bet is to start this in a place where they feel safe. So we're doing this in my backyard because Bauer is a little different from the normal reaction that some dogs have, which is they prefer to train in the house first and then come outside. I think Bauer feels confined in the house. He likes to have a big open space, so we usually come and train out here. So just some ideas to do while you're training. So if you normally train your dog and you have a ponytail in or your glasses on, don't next time. Do it without your glasses, do it without a ponytail. It sounds crazy, but that's just a little bit of getting them out of a routine. So they know, like if you put on your glasses, put on your treat pouch, grab your clicker, then they know, okay, we're training now. You want to kind of give them less of a heads up, because in general you want them to be okay with things not always being the same. So another idea, if you wear certain lotion or aftershave, perfume, switch it up. Train with them one day with a different scent, or train with them one day without any scent. If you usually train in your bedroom, train in the kitchen. Just things to get them used to it. It's good for two reasons. One is it's great to teach them that novel things aren't scary. It's great to go over cues in a different area because the more you take them out and about, the more they need to be able to perform behaviors on cue. The more you want them to be able to perform behaviors on cue, no matter where they are. So it's good for two things. It's good for getting them used to a little bit of novelty. It's also good for giving them or strengthening their cues, their responses to cues. So, but for a training session today, I'm going to do a little bit of novelty with Bauer. I'm going to show you the novelty game. The novelty game is something just super simple, and your dog can't do anything wrong. You can. So I'm going to give you a word of advice. What we're going to do is take any object your dog has never seen before. It can be something that's on your bureau. Your dog can't see your bureau, so it doesn't know what it is. It can be something that's been in the kitchen, under the, in the cabinets, or a book, something that they've never seen before. I mean, if they have seen books before, then just taking another book off the shelf probably isn't going to be a great idea because they know what a book is. If they like sticks, I wouldn't use a wooden spoon because then they might just want to take the wooden spoon and take off. But what you want to do is find something that they've never seen before that you think they might be interested in exploring a little bit. What you're going to do is you're going to take that object, you're going to put it in front of them, and you're going to click and treat for any interest they show in that object. And I'm starting out simple. I've got a tape measure. It's a little, it's just a little block, but I'm going to leave this out a little bit so he can explore it. And it's the kind that you'd have to kind of do that to make it go back, because I don't want it to scare him if he touched this and it just automatically went back in. I don't want it to then be scared of the tape measure for the rest of his life. So I'm just going to introduce this to him. I can see he's behind me now. And I'm going to click and treat any interest he has in this object. Now, the biggest piece of advice I can give to you, two biggest pieces of advice: they can't do anything wrong. Click and treat any interest. If they're not interested, don't get overly excited. Don't try and get them interested. Don't be like, oh, come on, isn't this a... Because that's when you end up with a dog who's overly excited about novelty and then runs out of porcupine. So it's going to be you just standing there with your clicker, showing an interest, click, treat, click, treat. You don't want to show any emotion. You don't want it to be super excited for them. And I'm not sure I'm going to get him to be able to do anything, because right now he's having fun exploring the yard, but we'll try anyway. So let's see if I can get him down here. You want to have your clicker ready, because the minute you put down the novel object, they might go and sniff it, and you want to be ready. Oh, look, he's going to come down without me even having to get him. And I'm going to take some treats. Be the best boy. And I'm not going to do too many, because I know how he is when it comes to training. He's over here. Alright, so here we go. Hey, bow. What's that? I'm going to throw it away from him, although he seems to be so interested in the thing he's not even... So that they then have to come back and approach it. And if your dog approaches it all excited, that's fine. But you want to then, you don't want to encourage that excitement. Just let them be themselves. I am going to do a little leg push to see if they'll then look at it. Oh, yes. Might also try to do some things in, if they're good at novelty, if they, like he's showing no interest in this whatsoever, I'm just going to leave it there and see if I can get him to do a hand touch. Power touch. Good job, baby boy. Give him that for approaching it. You can also try if they get good at something. If you have any of those like things that move around. Oh, see, he's much more interested, because it's more interesting than laying flat down. Like those things that you get for the holidays, those like dancing snowmen or whatever. You can try that if your dog isn't too afraid of novelty. I wouldn't try that with him, because he might eat it right now. He's too busy looking at something else. Good job. And I'm not going to do this too much, because he's only partially interested, and I just want to do it for demonstration purposes only. For you guys anyway, but this is basically just touch. Is it too close? Touch. See, he was a little nervous about coming and touching my hand, or he might have been lazy, but I think he was a little nervous about coming and touching my hand too close to it. Touch. Good job. So I'm just going to leave it there for him. Because it's not something you have to do too often. Oh my gosh, what was that? Good boy. with one particular object. If they show interest in it, that's great. You can keep clicking and treating them for showing interest. If they don't, it's not a big deal. That particular object might not make them nervous. They just might be okay with the novelty. It can be any number of things. They're just not in the mood at that moment in time. It's not something you have to make a big deal out of. This is just a little game to get them used to novelty. So, I have a little bit of a challenge for you guys, if you're interested. If you want a video showing your dog some novel objects and post it to us. So at our the Dog Nanny Instagram account is at the Dog Nanny Online, Facebook, the Dog Nanny, and use the hashtag novel.pups, and post that, and we'll take a look at them and maybe post some for other people to see, so you can have fun playing with your dog, a little game of novelty. Now, I don't run any of these accounts, so this is not a good place to ask questions. If you want to ask a question, please feel free to email me, jcurtin@thedognannyonline.com. And again, enjoy playing this game with your dogs, and they can do no wrong, and you can do no wrong. So, play positive, stay positive, guys. Have a good one.